So, by the way, I reconnected this sandbox to our marketing cloud account. So our integration is back in place. I can just quickly show that to you. So you'll notice yesterday, this window did not show these details. It wasn't showing that it was connected. Somehow the integration got disconnected, but I have reconnected it to this sandbox. So we're back in business, and I can demonstrate to you how to set up a journey that is based on these objects. But let's make sure we're not missing any vital info on the slides. So as I mentioned yesterday, when it comes to Journey Builder, there are three key things you need to do before you create a journey. So before you go into the account and start working on the canvas, you need to already have some sort of picture in your head of what this journey is going to look like, what you're hoping to achieve. That's where step one comes in, having a plan. So once you have that plan in place, you don't have to put together a physical plan, but just a few notes will help. Once you've got that plan in place, that's when you should go into the account, into Journey Builder, and start to build out what you have in mind. And then once you've activated your journey and people are going through it, you can continuously improve it by optimizing your journey, making small tweaks here and there. Okay, so let's breeze through some of these slides, and then we'll go back into the Journey Builder window. So this is what I mean when I say have a plan. You've got some sort of workflow of what your journey is going to be like, what data you're going to need to make this journey run. So you need to know, where's the data coming from? Is it coming from an integrated CRM, or is it coming from some other data source? Those are some questions you have to ask. And then most importantly, you need to understand the why behind your journey. That's the third bullet point. What goal is this journey supposed to solve? Or what problem, or what is the purpose? What's the why behind this journey? Okay. Here on your screen is an example of a welcome journey. So this is the outline of a simple welcome journey. And in this case, you've got Marketing Cloud. So this is just everything inside Marketing Cloud. You've got a data extension, or actually you've got an SQL query that's running to find some specific fields. And then it pulls that data into a data extension. And then that data extension is the entry source for this journey. So people enter the journey, they get the first email, and then there's a waiting period, and then there's a decision split. There's a decision split, which is a junction where you check for a specific data point. So in this decision split, you're checking for something. If people meet that requirement, they go down this path. If they don't, they come down this path, right? So I think here, what we're checking for, this is actually a engagement split, because we're checking to see, did people open this email number one? If they did, they go down this path to get this second email. If they did not, they come down this lane and they get a reminder email. And then there's another delay and another decision split. But you see how you can send people down different paths to get different messages. That's the idea behind the journey. And you see the use of the different elements. So you've got your email, you've got your waiting period, you've got your decision split, You've got your join activity here. See, from here, you can join this lane back to the one at the top. So this whole thing is a visual representation of what a journey can look like. All right. So you need to have something like that in mind, what the goal of your journey is, where the data is coming from, that sort of thing. So these are some questions that you typically need to ask either yourself or whoever's requesting that you build a journey. So if you're doing this for a client, these are some questions you need to ask. Where's the data coming from? What type of content do we need? Is it just going to be emails? Are there going to be SMSs? Are there going to be push messages? Those are some questions you need to ask. Is there a reason for one customer to get one experience that's different from some others? So these are some questions that will determine how you build your journey. All right? Will there be any personalization? Those answers to those questions will determine what fields you want to bring in, for example, in your SQL query into your data extension for the journey. Okay, so here are some typical use cases for journeys. So a very common one is an onboarding series. So let's say, for example, new members to an organization. It could be, say, new employees join a very large firm. They go through an onboarding series, all right? And this is very common. Or new people join a not-for-profit organization as a member. They can get sent 2 to 3 emails inside of a journey over, say, a month or two. You spread out those emails in an automated fashion. Another one could be a post-purchase journey or a re-engagement journey. A common one is the abandoned cart one. So an example of an abandoned cart is, so let's say I go to, let's say I go to Apple's website. I don't think you can even purchase, well, let's see. They let you buy directly. Yeah, so, okay, so let's say I put one of these devices in my shopping cart. I don't know if they let you buy it on the website, but let's say I go to Fido. I use Fido. So let's say I purchase a phone, or I select a phone, and so let's say I go with that. Let's see if I'm signed in. Let's say I put this in my shopping cart, and then I just don't click on purchase. I don't make that final commitment. I don't click on purchase, and I just drift off to another website. Yeah. Fido, the company, can add me into an abandoned cart journey, whereas I will get pulled into a data extension, and then I will get sent an email saying, hey, Abby, you recently were on our website and you didn't complete your transaction. You abandoned your cart. You were about to purchase the iPhone 15, but you abandoned your cart. Would you like to go back and complete that purchase? That's a use case for a journey or an automation. All right. Another use case will be specialty offers. So there are a bunch of use cases, but these are some common ones that we've seen customers use and we've built for customers. Okay. So, by the way, when I switch screens like this and come here, I'm just coming to check on the chat and just make sure no one's hand is up or there's no question in the chat. The second step when you're looking to build a journey is, so once you put your plan together, that's step one. You've got your plan, you know where your data is coming from, you know what fields you need, you know how long, you know the duration of your journey. It's going to span 7 days, it's going to span 7 months. You know all of those things. You have answers to those questions. You know how many emails are going to be inside of your journey. That's everything you do in step one, in the planning phase. Step two is where you build out your journey. All right. This is where you go into Journey Builder and you start to build it out. All right. So the analogy I use is, it's just like building a house. Before you build a house, you already have some idea, some image in your mind of what your house is going to turn out to look like. So you work with an architect or a designer, someone to draw out what that house is going to look like. They put it on paper. And then you get the permits from the city to go ahead and build. Once you've got the permit, that's when you start to put the shovels in the ground. So same thing here. Step one, you plan. Step two, you build out your journey. All right. And this is just a screenshot showing you how large a journey can get. And then step three is, once you've built your journey, you've run it, you've tested it, you review it, and once you're happy with everything, you activate it. And over time, you can continue to refine and optimize your journey. That's your typical step three. So an example of simple optimizations you can do will be, so let's say you build a journey, your journey's got only 2 emails, and the journey has run for 1 week. And you notice that the responses, that not a lot of people are opening up email number 1. All right, so you've got 2 emails, but not a lot of people opening up email number 1. Your open rates are low. One piece of refinement you can do there is to go take a look at that email again. Look at the subject line. Is it compelling enough? Because that's one of several reasons why people might not open an email. The other thing you can do to optimize your journey could be the send time. What time does that email go out? All right. The other thing you could do to increase the chances of people opening your email message could be the sender profile you've selected to use. Are you using, let's say, for example, are you using Blackforce, let's say, sales operations at blackforce.ca? Are you using that? Or are you using Blackforce customer service, or whatever the username you're using? You can fine tune it, you can switch it to try something else to make sure you're getting better results in your journey. That's what we mean here by optimizing. Continuously using the data, which is the feedback you're getting, to refine and improve your journey. Right? So that's what we're talking about there. So let's talk about data sources inside of Journey Builder. Okay. So journeys are powered by whatever data you make available. It could be data from a CRM. It could be data from a third-party system. Let's say you've got some data warehouse that you've integrated with your Marketing Cloud account, and you're using some of that data inside of your journey. So you can use different data points to power your journey, right? But of course, the data, regardless of where it's coming from, will end up in a data extension, all right? Not in a list, but in a data extension. So this stuff here, we don't need to dwell on. This here just gives you a quick comparison between data extensions and lists and why you should use data extensions for journeys. Well, that's all you can use actually. You can't even use lists for journeys. So that's the message on this slide. So this is just telling you stuff you guys already know. So I'll skip past this. Let's see, is there anything? This is something I mentioned yesterday. For you to use a data extension, a specific data extension for a journey, you need to ensure the email address field is available, and you also need to ensure that data extension is marked as sendable. Because if it's not, you won't be able to select it, right? Let's see, you have to know this. This just talks about when you start to use the combination of Automation Studio. So you can use Automation Studio to bring in your data into a data extension, and you can use the schedule in Automation Studio to power your journey. And we're going to do that. I'm going to show you guys how these two applications can be used in a journey. All right. This we don't need. And this just talks about the different data sources. So if you're bringing in data, say from a data warehouse or some external system that's not your CRM, you can do an import using Automation Studio to bring in that data into a data extension, or you can connect via an API to this third-party system, and the third-party system will push the data into a data extension. The other option is you can bring in your data from your CRM. In this example, the Salesforce CRM. And then this is using APIs. And then I think we can skip past these. You could read these in your own time. Let's just make sure there's nothing missing. So I think there's some, for those of you who are new to SQL queries, there's some slides here where I explain some of the fundamentals about SQL queries and how you can build your query and use the outcome of your query. So the results that get pushed into a data extension, you can use that to serve as your entry source for your journey. Okay, so and then I've got some examples of queries that you might find useful. So I do suggest you go through these slides, just to, especially if you're new to SQL queries in general, or SQL queries inside of Marketing Cloud, which is slightly different from your MS SQL. So there's some explanation on what each of these commands mean. All right, and then here, this is the data action that you can choose to use during an import. So if you recall, when we were doing the Automation Studio file drop import, there were three options. We can choose to append, we can choose to update, or we can choose to overwrite. This just gives you the definition and the differences between those three options when you're doing the data import. So, all right, so let's just get back into Journey Builder. So yesterday, I walked you through all of the entry sources and the different message or the message options. And I also showed you, so let's close that. All right, this is where we stopped. We stopped on the flow control section. So let's quickly do this. So let's say I was using data extension. So what I'm going to walk you through here is some of these elements that I did not cover yesterday. So we'll cover all of these, and then we'll come to what these buttons here mean. And then we're going to build a journey. We're going to validate, test that journey, and we will activate the journey. We likely won't get to the activation portion today, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to journey builder. So this is slide 1, or this is deck 1 of 4. All right. So we've still got 3 more decks to go through for journey builder. It's a very robust topic. And one of the other decks talks about troubleshooting. All right. And then I think the final deck talks about reporting and a few other things, some common things people run into and how to resolve those issues. But let's continue where we stopped. So yesterday I was talking about, I think we stopped at the wait until event. So let's keep this simple. Let's say I had a journey and this is what it looked like. And then I used, so I'll quickly explain the wait until event again. Then it's very similar to this one here, the wait until in-app event. So let's say this was my journey. And I had one more message here. Let's say this was minutes. Let's say this was just 15 minutes. So, all right, I'll give you some context. So the element I'm about to explain to you is this wait until event element. It's different from the wait by duration element, which is this one. This one is quite straightforward. So these are the same. These just give you specific chunks of time. In this case, this is 15-minute wait. This is a 1-day wait. This is a 1-day wait. You could change them to whatever duration you want, right? But the wait until event is not the same as this. It's similar, but the difference is in this wait until event, you're waiting for some sort of action to happen. All right. So here's I think I mentioned this example yesterday. I built a journey for, this is a client that was in Europe, and they're a consumer packaged goods company. They had some sort of, they attended an event, some sort of festival. I think it was a music festival. And they had representatives with iPads who were trying to sign up, trying to get people's email addresses. And, if you provide your email address, we're going to give you a coupon to use on our website towards a purchase. So you get, let's say you get 10% off if you sign up today. So that's what these representatives were doing at the event. So the guys with the iPads were walking around this event location, this music festival location, and they were signing people up. So as soon as these people get signed up, oh, by the way, the sign up form they were using was a cloud page. All right. So the guys with the iPads, they were out there speaking to people and getting them to sign up. So people sign up, they fill out this form, or they fill out a form, something like this. They click on submit. As soon as you click on submit, your data gets pushed into a data extension. And that data extension was used for a journey. So people click on submit, they get entered into a data extension, they get pushed into this journey, and then they get this first email immediately. All right. So as soon as you get this email, there's a call to action. There's a link in the email that we want you to click. It's just some sort of verification link. So if you click on that link, so that's the action we're waiting for here, the wait until event. The event we're waiting for is for people to click on that verification link. So as soon as you get this email, we're going to be checking, have you clicked on that link using this wait until event activity? If you do click on that link, you get to this point and you go down this path. And after 15 minutes, you get a second email that contains the 10% promo code. And then you exit the journey after 1 day. But for people who got this first email but did not click on the URL in that first email, after, let's see, what was the duration? I think we set it for 2 to 3 days. If after 3 days you've still not clicked on that URL in email number 1, we're going to send you down this path and you're going to exit the journey and you're not going to get the promo code. So that's what this wait until event gives you the ability to achieve. If we did not use the wait until event, if we used, let's say we used the wait by duration, let's say we just put wait 3 days, it means everybody who clicked on that link will still have to wait for 3 days before they proceed. Whereas when we use the wait until event, as soon as that event happens, people get sent down this path to get the promotional email. All right. Okay, question number 1 of the day. Robert, please go ahead. Robert, not sure if you're speaking, but I can't hear you. And I don't think the rest of the folks can hear you either. All right. Where is Robert?
There we go. Thank you. There we go. For the event date, if the event has passed, does it skip it?
So let's say I set the duration, the wait until event duration as 3 days. So if anybody comes in, well, nobody's even going to come in after that 3-day waiting period, because the way people were coming in was they were getting signed up at the festival. So the festival was a 1-day event. Yeah, that was a 1-day event. So if you did not get signed up at the festival, you're not going to enter this journey. So that was the purpose of that journey, just to capture leads or potential customers at this festival one time. So only people who came in that day will have gone through the journey. So there won't be a case of somebody coming into the journey 7 days later and going through this journey. That won't happen, because the only people who got captured filled out this form at that festival. Make sense? All right, not sure. Seems like you got muted again. But yeah, the next hand was IJ. Yes, please go ahead. I know some days I have to unmute you, some days you can unmute yourself. Not sure what's going on today. I clicked it. Are you still unable to?
Okay, yes. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering how this works for abandoned carts. like if you want to send an email to students or customers that abandon their carts after 3 days, are you going to use the wait until duration?
The thing about the abandoned cart is time is of the essence. So if someone did not make a purchase on your website, the earlier you send them that reminder, the better. So you don't want to be waiting too long. So if they made an attempt to purchase your product today, but they did not, you want to send them into that journey sometime today, within the first 24 to 48 hours, right? So if this was an abandoned cart journey, I will not use the wait until event, because the wait until event, not the best, doesn't serve my purpose here. So what I'll do instead is I'll move that and I'll get rid of it. There you go. So if this was an abandoned cart journey, actually. Now, IJ, now just to make sure I captured your question, let me repeat your question to you just to make sure I have fully understood and answered it. Your question is, if this was an abandoned cart journey, would we use a wait by duration or wait until event? Is that your question?
Yes, like I want to send I want to build a journey on abandoned cart where you send an email to customers that have abandoned their carts. Like after 3 days, you want to send an email to customers that have kept items in their carts for 3 days, right? So I was wondering, is it going to be wait until duration, like wait until after 3 days? Like how is the journey going to be like?
So in that case, people abandon their cart, they didn't complete their purchase, you could push them into the journey. And then as soon as they enter the journey, you can set, or before you activate the journey, what you want to do is change this to 3 days, right? And they'll get to this point and they'll be in a waiting period of 3 days before they get sent the email. That's how you solve for that. But my previous point was, why are you waiting 3 days?
Okay.
Might have moved on. They might have gone to the store. They might have gone to the Nike store to just go, you know, I want to go try this shoe on before I make the purchase. So how do you know if they've already gone to the store and made that purchase? So that's why I say time is of the essence. If you're going to do an abandoned cart, you want it to be something that's very quick. There shouldn't be this long of a wait. All right?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. All right, folks, keep the questions coming. So that is your wait until event. The next one is your wait until in-app event, which is quite similar, but the event you're waiting for in this case is something that happens inside of your mobile app, and your mobile app is connected to Marketing Cloud by way of Mobile Studio. All right? Can't demonstrate that to you because you already know the answer to that. So the next one is also similar. So wait until in-app event, wait until push event, both Mobile Studio related, right? But they function the same way as the wait until event. You're waiting for somebody to do something. And once they've done that something, then you can move them down a specific path or the other. Okay, so this here, this element allows you to do simple stuff, something as simple as, okay, let me paint a picture for you. let's go find one of my data extensions. Okay. So, September 21. Let's see, this one. I could probably use this one. Okay. So let's say, I'll change the name. Let's call it the October 5th data extension. All right. So we've got one record in there, and it's me. So let's say I was using this data extension for my journey. So let's say I was using this data extension for my journey. Yes? I don't need this waiting period, so I'm going to... Oh, by the way, if you want to delete an activity, the best way to do it so you don't lose your whole journey is to move it to the end of that part. So if you don't do that, so if you say, okay, I want to get rid of this 3-day waiting period, if I just go ahead and delete this, it's going to delete, sometimes it'll delete the whole journey. So what you want to do is just move it further down towards somewhere where it's not going to impact your whole journey, right? So that's how to get rid of some elements. But back to the example I wanted to give you. So let's say I have this journey and I want to capture something as simple as the time and date that people entered my journey. Let's say that was the metric I wanted to capture. By default, it's not getting captured in your data extension, all right? So see this data extension, these are the only fields I have in there, email and first name. But what if I wanted to capture the date and time that people got added into this journey? This element here, the update contact element or activity, can help me do that. And in order to do that, I need to, first of all, add a field in this data extension. So let's say I wanted to capture the date. Entry, let's say, to capture the journey entry date and time. Journey entry date. Okay, so it's going to be a date field, and I'll say it's nullable, which means it's not a required field. And then I will save it. Well, actually, yeah, I missed a step there. I'm gonna have to go back. Let's see if it even lets me save. So this, okay, so what I should have done is this. I'm going to get rid of that. Here's what I should have done. You put your field name, you put the data type, you select nullable, and then you click on that plus sign. And you see here, it says use current date. And that's what I want. I want each time somebody enters into my data extension, I want that data captured. So that's how you can capture that, just by adding this field and saving it, okay? And now, if I wanted to capture additional info, such as, what's an example? I'll use this. Okay, so whenever any record enters this data extension now, we're going to see the current date and time that they entered that data extension. So if I wanted to capture something else, such as journey, to come up with a better example. So this is the activity we're trying to use, yes? If I wanted to capture my, let's just say I wanted to capture source, right? Say that was a text field. I'll say this is nullable and I'll save, all right? And now I'm going to connect this source field, I'm going to connect it to this element here, okay? And you'll see how I do it. So right now, that field is going to be blank for everybody. But when I connect it and I activate the journey, whatever value I want to capture here will get added to the data extension. So let's go select my data extension. It's here, this folder, it's the October 5th. Okay, so that's the data extension. Now the attribute value that I want to capture. So this. So now I can select that field and whatever I want to capture here, let's say I wanted to say the source is, let's say LinkedIn advertising. Let's say that was what I wanted to capture there. I'll go summary, done. And then each time any new record comes into my journey, the value that will get captured in that source field, once they get to this point, will be this. So LinkedIn advertising will get stamped for that record in the source field. Okay, so it's an element that allows you to, if you want to capture additional info about anything related to your journey, you can capture it there. So another use case for this could be, let's say yes, Robert.
Is it possible to utilize that to capture attendance? Like, as I say, you have attendance in Sales Cloud. Is there any way that we could push in their attendance, no show or attended, and put it in that source field?
That can be something. So let's say you want to capture event attendance status.
Yes.
Right? So that can be something you do. So if we save that, we can just go back here, update that field, and say attended. Now,
but how would you know they're attended if you're just hard coding it in?
Right. Now, you need to, so let's say you host an event, people register, you capture that data in the CRM. Yes?
Yes.
The event date comes around, you capture, I don't know what system you're using to host your events, but you capture who attended and who did not. Yes?
Yes, using campaign members, that's what I use.
So if you already captured who attended, who did not, then you don't need this. If you already have that information from your CRM, you don't need this. This element is typically used by Marketing Cloud users who do not have, say, a CRM or some other system where the event attendance status is getting captured. So that's where I commonly see this being used.
Okay, all right, makes sense.
But for use cases where you have the CRM, you probably won't need this. All right, so just making sure we're staying on track. So there are a bunch of things you could do with this. one that I've seen very commonly used is just to capture additional information about people's statuses inside of the journey. So it could be something as simple as somebody, it really depends on the plan of your journey. That's what determines if you need to use this or not. That's the simple answer to that. So that covers this bit. The next bunch of elements we're going to talk about are the Sales and Service Cloud elements. These are only relevant if the Marketing Cloud account in question is integrated with a Sales or Service Cloud instance. That's when these become useful. If not, you can't do anything with them. All right? So let's get rid of that. So these objects you guys are familiar with. So let's say you built a journey and you wanted to, let's see, what's a use case for this? You wanted to update a field on an account object. So let's say, or you wanted to create a new account when people go through this journey. You can do that from inside of Marketing Cloud. So let me paint a picture for you, all right? Just to bring it all together. Let's say you're capturing prospective records, let's say students or customers, you're capturing them using a cloud page. You capture these records, you've put this cloud page somewhere where traffic goes to. So you're capturing all these records. Those records are getting pushed into a data extension. Yes? And once they arrive in the data extension, they're getting pushed into a journey. All right? So if you have the CRM, you can send them the email, and the next activity, if that's your sales process, the next activity can be, I want to create an account for this record in my CRM. If you select that, you put what fields you want to update, let's say that, enter value. So you can select fields from your data extension to be used towards this account you want created in the CRM. So let's say we wanted to use the first name as the account name to be used in our CRM. We select the first name, we go next, and then we say done. So whenever any new record comes through this journey, they'll get this email, and then the next activity will be Marketing Cloud will send a message to the CRM saying, create a new account for me using this field, the first name field, as the account name in the CRM. And lo and behold, a new account will be created based on that record's first name. That's something you can do if that's your organization's sales process. All right. Typically, what most clients will do, instead of rushing to create an account, what they'll do is they'll create a lead. All right. So rather than create an account, they'll use the lead object. So in this case, you create a lead. All right. So create new, or you can find an update. And same thing applies with the account. If you select the find an update, the system will go search in your CRM to see, is there an existing lead with this name and email address? If there is, it will update that record based on whatever fields you want. If there isn't, it will create a new one. All right. So it really depends on the organization. That's what will determine how they set this up. But what I usually advise my clients that have Marketing Cloud, and the CRM. What I typically advise them to do is to start from the CRM. So if you're capturing leads, have that lead information go into the CRM. Use web to lead or email to lead. Use one of those capabilities. Have the lead created in the CRM. And when you go through that route, they get created in the CRM and they get associated with a lead ID. And they come into Marketing Cloud with an existing lead ID. And that will serve as their unique identifier. And you can, so if they go through that route, they create a web to lead form, they capture their leads in the CRM. They can use, instead of doing this here, they can do this. They use the Salesforce data. They select leads. And we're going to do this. I'm going to demonstrate this to you. They select the lead object. They can bring in those leads and send them into a journey. All right. So the point is, the leads should be created in the CRM instead of having that data come into the Marketing Cloud first and then pushing them to go create a lead in the CRM. The starting point should be the CRM, not Marketing Cloud. That's what I usually advise my clients. So, first question, can you have more than one source in a journey? Please come off mute and shed more light on that question. So that was Mercy. Let's see, where are you? Mercy, go. Yes, I think I've unmuted you, Mercy.
Straighten the updates, right? Can you hear me?
I didn't capture the first few words you said.
Can you go back? Yes, this screen. When we're in the update element.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, this one.
Yes, the customer updates. Yes. There was a source coming from LinkedIn. You showed an example for a source when So I was thinking out loud, personal thoughts, if we can have more than one source, like have LinkedIn, then another source from Facebook in a journey.
So rather than doing that here, I think the best bet might be if you're capturing leads from, let's say, from LinkedIn, and you're pushing them into a data extension, you can just create, I'll say, use separate data extensions for those different lead sources. So if you're creating one data extension to capture LinkedIn leads, you can just create something like this. Source, let's see what label that may use that equals LinkedIn. All right. Actually, no, source, let's just put that title. Source text, yes. And we'll put the default value here. So the source equals LinkedIn. So what I'll say is if you're capturing leads from LinkedIn, capture all those LinkedIn leads in this data extension. Have a separate data extension, say this one, to capture your Facebook leads. You create another field with the default value source equals Facebook. And then write a query to bring in records from here, and push them into a separate data extension that you're using for your journey. Don't capture that data at this point. That's what I'd recommend. Don't wait till you get to this point to be capturing that data. This, I was just showing you an example of something you could do with this element. So to your question, can we capture multiple sources using this element in one data extension? Let's let's try and answer that question. So if we go back to my October 5th. Yes, so let's say I want to capture the source field. And I say LinkedIn. Yes, I can capture that as the source for these people. But everyone who comes in and goes through this activity is going to have that same value of LinkedIn, except I have more than one part. So if I have where is it? Decision split. So let's say I have another part. People who go down this first part, we capture them as LinkedIn. People who come down this second part, we can capture them as Facebook. So let's go to the same data extension. And yeah. And then same field, right? We could capture these guys as Facebook. So it is doable, but so we can capture these guys as the Facebook leads and these guys as your LinkedIn leads, right? So it is doable, but as I mentioned, there's usually more than one way to do things in Marketing Cloud. Will I go with this method? If I was short on time and I just needed to get things done quickly, sure, I'll go with this method. But my preference will be capture them into separate data extensions first, and then write a query to bring them into a third data extension that you use for the journey. But to answer your question, yes, it is doable, as you see here. And if you wanted another path for another source, you just need to put another lane in this decision split. All right. So, the audio is not loud enough. I'm almost losing my voice here. I'll try and speak louder. Naturally, my voice is not loud, so. As we say in the country most of us are from, I know if you shout. All right, let's keep it moving. Next one. Next element will be campaign member. So this element allows you to add somebody, a record, into as a campaign member in either an existing campaign, or you could create a new record. All right. So most of these elements, because you guys are already familiar with these elements, you can already imagine what you could do with them. So that's the campaign member one. For the case, this allows you to, so let's say someone came in to this journey, all right, let's move things around. They get an email and then they're not happy about something. You can have a new case created in the CRM based on this element. All right, so you can create a new case. And of course, in the CRM, you already have your case assignment rule configured. So as soon as that case gets created, somebody is on that case. All right, so let's say this journey, the purpose of this journey was just to create cases. So as soon as people come in, let's get rid of all these. So let's say there was a form on your website where people can put up complaints. Say, okay, I wasn't happy with my product. It broke within the first week. You go somewhere on the website and there's a contact us thing, or there's a chatbot. And as soon as that chatbot captures your info, you get pushed into a journey. And when you get to this point, a new case gets created in the CRM by way of Marketing Cloud. That's what this element allows you to do. All right, same thing with the contact. You can create a new contact, or you can update an existing contact. All right, and the convert lead one, if let's say this journey was based on leads, we brought in lead data from here, and all the people who came into this journey, they were all leads. So after people go through this journey, they get an email, they take the action that you want them to take. This element here, or this activity, can help you do the lead conversion process. All right, so that's what these Salesforce elements inside of Journey Builder allow you to do. So you start to see what I mean by Marketing Cloud is great by itself, but when you integrate it with the CRM, it becomes more powerful. So if you did not have the CRM integrated with this Marketing Cloud account, you won't be able to use some of these features. Well, all of these Sales and Service Cloud features, they won't be available to you. All right. So, yes, Robert, let's see.
If you used either the lead one or the contact one in the journey, and you push people through this, and it created a new contact or lead, does Marketing Cloud then, what's what I'm trying to think of, pull in information and updates the all subscriber with the ID of that contact or lead? Or do you have to manually now go back in and update that person with the ID?
So what is our starting source?
Let's say our starting source is a data extension,
Okay.
but it's just a simple data extension that it's not connected to the CRM. And so you push people in there, and from pushing them in there, you decide, okay, I'm going to create a lead, or I'm going to create a contact in the CRM for them, right? And in the data extension, let's say you just had first and last name email, right? But now that you've created a Sales Cloud record for them, is there a way for it to go, oh, since I've created a Sales Cloud record for you, I know what that ID is. Can it update that subscriber with the ID, or do I now have a duplicate if I go back and forth with that individual between Sales Cloud?
So the answer is you now have a duplicate record, because you sent people into this journey and the unique identifier was email address.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
They've gone through the journey, and then you've created them as a lead in the CRM. So the next time they come into Marketing Cloud to be sent an email, they will get created in the all subscribers list as a new record, because the unique identifier is now the lead ID, not the email address. So that's why I said what I advise clients to do is, when you're doing prospecting, you're gathering new prospects, push that data into the CRM first. Don't push it into Marketing Cloud and start sending them emails and trying to convert them later on. Push that data into the CRM and then pull these leads into Marketing Cloud and use the lead ID as your unique identifier. And that way, you don't have to deal with duplicate records. All right?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, because I come across this all the time, and it leads to companies going over their limits in Marketing Cloud, so their contact record limits, and they having to pay Salesforce overage fees for exceeding their limits. So it gets, yeah. So anyways, that's the answer to that. I won't belabor the point. So most of these are associated with standard objects. With this one, the object activity, you can update or, I believe, perhaps create a new custom object. I need to double check. I think you can update. I need to double check on that create part. But you can, let's say we wanted to, let's say this was an object we wanted to, yeah. So if it was a custom object, you have the option of create new custom object record or find and update existing custom object record. So that's what the object activity does. So that's why it's not named any specific object. It's just called object activity, whereas all these other ones are for standard objects. All right. So all of them allow you to either create a new record or update existing record. The last Sales Service Cloud object or activity here is the task one. So just like all the other ones, if you put it in a journey, you can assign a task to a user in the CRM. All right. So let's say someone goes through the journey and then you want to assign a task to the record owner. So let's say Robert was the record owner. As soon as people go through this journey, if any of the records belong to Robert, I want to assign a task to Robert to, e.g., follow up with this record. You know, let's say this was a journey for MasterCard. People come into this journey and they get an email, but I want the salesperson whose territory this record falls under. I want them to follow up with this record. I can create a task and I can specify what I want them to do in that task. So I can say create new record. I can specify what they need to do. So this is how we can specify if you want it assigned to a group or a specific user. And you could put as much or as little detail as needed in that task. And that task will get created in the CRM. The task assignee will get notified of this new task that was assigned to them. All right, so these are some of the very nifty and handy things you can do because your Marketing Cloud account is integrated with the Salesforce CRM. All right, okay. So moving on, let's talk about some of these elements here in the top right corner. Oh, by the way, just before we go to the top right corner, when you create your new journey, you could give it a name. You're not stuck with the default name that gets created. You can call it whatever you want. The sample journey. You give your journey a name, and you can also put a description for your journey. Right? So I usually advise you give your journey a name, you give your journey a description. So if we save this now and we go to the dashboard, let's sort these by last modified. Where is my journey? Okay, see, that's my journey at the top. See how I have my journey name and I have the description. If you're looking at an account with lots of journeys like this one, you don't need to go into each one to figure out what the journey is about. If there was a description, for example, These ones here, there's no description. So I don't know the goal of this journey, what they're trying to achieve, because there's no description. So best practice is put a description so that at this view, this list view of all the journeys, one can get a good enough idea of what that journey is about. All right, and you can always add or update it before you activate it. Once you've activated it, then you can't change these sections anymore. All right. So let's talk about version and version control when it comes to your journey. So you'll see here, as of now, our journey is still in a draft status. So this is still version 1. Okay. If we complete all these sections that are grayed out, so we select the data extension, configure the decision split, select an email, configure the task. If we do all of that and we activate our journey, it'll change to active or running, and that'll be version 1. If we wanted to make changes to the journey after we've activated it, we can make changes, but those changes will reflect in version 2. All right, let me crystallize that for you. Let's go find an active running journey. Let's see, which journey can I mess with here? Okay, this person's got 29 entries. So you see this journey, this is somebody's journey. It's active, it's running, as you see here. So 29 people have come into this journey, 11 went down this path, 18 went down this path, all right? If I wanted to, let's say this person says, hey, I want to, right now I only have one email in this journey. I want to add another email for people going down this path. I want them to get an email. Yes? Let's say that's the change the owner of this journey wanted to make. What they'll need to do, so this version 1 is active and running. We can't make any changes to version 1. But what we can do is create a new version. And if we click on new version, which I'm going to do, we'll see version 2 here, and it will be the status will be draft. We can make changes to our version 2, and then when we're happy with version 2, we can activate the version 2 of our journey. And then what happens from that point onwards is any new person who comes into the journey gets sent into version 2. No new person will get sent into version 1 anymore, because there's now an updated version of the journey. So every new record who qualifies to come into the journey will go into version 2. Nobody will go into version 1 anymore. All right? That's how that bit works. So I know I said not to mess with people's journeys, but you know what? Let's find any of my existing journeys, see if I can use that, just so I don't. Okay, this is one of my journeys. You know how I know? Because there's a description. Most people don't put a description. So here's my journey. There's a description right there. So Robert, I'll get to your question. But see, this is my existing journey. It's just a simple journey. People come in, they get this email, they wait 10 minutes and they exit. So if I wanted to change this to add a second email, what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll click on new version. All right, see what happens? Now we have a version 2, and version 2 is in a draft status. Version 1 is still running, so version 1 is going to continue running with anybody who is still inside of version 1. So those people will go through to the end of version 1. But any new record who comes into my journey once I've activated version 2, we'll go through version 2. All right, so let's say this was the change I wanted to make. I had a second email. Let's just go find a random second email. And I'll get to your question, Robert. Where are my emails? Okay, let's say I wanted that. And okay, so this was my change. This is the change I've made to my journey now. So if I click on activate, this version 2 will become active. And then any new record who comes into the journey will get sent into version 2, where they will proceed to get this email, wait for 10 minutes and get this email, because that's what I want to happen going forward. No new record will go through this version where there's only one email. All right. So, yes, Robert, let's see. I have to unmute you. Okay,
I have two questions. One, I had no idea that you could add a description. Please, if you could show me how you do that. And two, when you make the new version, is there a way to stop people from continue on in that journey, or there's no way to stop them? Those people that are in the version 1 will continue on in that journey.
So your question is, I want to make changes to my journey. I want to make those changes in version 2, but I don't want anybody to continue to get version 1. That's
Right.
your question, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So to stop version 1, you come here, click on that drop-down arrow, and you can say pause this version. What version is it referring to? The one you're displaying at the moment, which is version 1. So you can choose to either pause it or stop it. All right? That's how you can stop people from getting into version 1, so that you can complete your version 2, and then activate your version 2, so that all new records go into version 2.
So pause and stop will stop them. I'm talking about existing. Let's say you've got more than one email already in here. So you've got email 1, delay 2, email 2, delay 3, like that type of thing.
Yes,
and you realize, oh, you've made a mistake.
Yes.
You need them to not get the second one. If I stop the journey, the people who have already been injected into version 1 will continue on that journey, correct?
If you stop, so if we say stop this version, which is version 1, what will happen is everybody in version 1 will stop at whatever point they've gotten to.
Oh.
And that journey will stop. They're not going to continue along the path inside of that journey. They'll stop wherever they've gotten onto. And that's the end of that journey for them.
I was told different by support, but knowing how wrong they've been in the last couple of days, I'm not surprised. So they do not get it. It stops, period.
It stops because you've asked it to stop. So it should stop.
I was told that they would continue on in the journey because they've been injected already.
Except the email has already been deployed before you hit stop. Then, of course, they'll get the email, but everyone else who hasn't got an email deployed to them should stop at whatever point they've gotten onto.
So if I'm injected in version 1 and a new version is created and you hit stop, because I was injected in version 1, I don't get I stop in version 1. Do I get pushed into version 2 for the other email?
Do you get pushed into version 2? It depends on how you're pulling people into the journey in the first place. So if your entry requirement, let's say you were running a query. Yes, let's say that's what you were doing. Or you were pulling people from the CRM.
Pulling people to the CRM is the constant thing for me. So
Okay, so you're pulling people in from the CRM. If the requirement is pull in everybody who signed up for this event starting from October the 3rd, if those records who were in version 1 meet that requirement, they could get pulled into version 2. But if they do not meet that requirement, they shouldn't get pulled into version 2. Most
But if
times,
they're already in there, they do meet the requirement and they're in there in version 1, you realize you've made a mistake on the second email, so you stop version 1 and fix it on version 2 just before they get the next email. Because you've
Right.
stopped it, they've already been injected in version 1. Do they then get redirected to version 2? So now they get the correct email, or they're stopped altogether?
They're stopped in version 1. If whatever your entry source and the requirement is pulls them into version 2, then they'll go through whatever the sequence is for version 2.
So you then would have to re-inject them into version 2.
Right. And if it's
so that
a
can
case
continue.
of, yeah, so if it's a case of there are 2 emails in this journey, email 1 and email 2, or email A and email B, but in version 1, they've already received email A. If you pull them into version 2, they're going to receive email A one more time, and then they'll receive email B. So you have to think of that experience for those people. Do you want them getting email A twice? So in that case, because you've made a mistake, what you might need to do is write a query to isolate everyone from version 1 who has already received email A. All right, you isolate those guys, put them in a data extension, and then you create a new journey, and that new journey only has email B. And then you send those guys who went through version 1, you send them into that new journey with email B so that they don't get email A twice. Make sense?
That makes sense. Got
Yeah.
It hurts my head, but it makes sense.
Look, I've been in your shoes. I've made this kind of mistake before where we inject people into a journey and then we realize something, we have to pause it or stop it, and then we have to redo the whole thing. Been there, done that, but that's how you get around it. So you don't piss people off by sending them the same email twice.
Okay, got it. And I had no idea that you could make a description. How do you make a description?
Here. See, in the post the name, you can put a description right here. You just
I did not know that existed. Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So IJ, I see you.
Yes, I wanted to ask on can you share your screen again on the journey? Okay, yeah. On version 1 and 2, what I understood from what you said was when version 1 is running and then you update version 1 to version 2, any new customer will not be enrolled in the version 1, right?
If you have activated version 2, but if version 2 is still in draft status, then new customers will continue to go into version 1.
Okay.
Until this one runs.
What if the modification you did in version 1 is like after this 10 minutes, and then you have some customers that are already on the Blue Ocean customer email, like on this journey, right? The modification you're doing is after the 1 day, but you have customers that are on the 10 minutes part, and then you activate version 2. What happens to those customers? Do they continue that way?
Okay, let's
do you understand me?
Let's take a step back. So, and let me know if I get your question right. You've got version 1 running, but you want to make changes to your journey. So you create version 2. Yes. So version 2, you've added 2 emails. Now it's 2 emails, right? So let me know if I get this right. Your question is, people who have come into this version 1, They've gotten this email, let's call it email A. They've gotten to this point, the 10-minute wait. When we activate version 2, these people who have gotten through these 2 points, are they going to show up in version 2? Is that your question, or did I get it wrong?
Yeah, that's the question. So will they continue the journey is not ended for them already, right? In version 1, and there's a modification. Will they continue?
No. So if you've come into this journey, you got this email, you got to this 10-minute waiting point. After this 10-minute waiting point, this is your exit. This whole thing for you is only going to take 10 minutes and you're out. So whoever has already gotten out of this journey, depending on the journey settings, which we're going to talk about, it's this here. Ideally, they would not automatically show up in version 2. All right? So I see there's a lot of interest in the version control aspect of Journey Builder. It's understandable, but I'm going to try and demonstrate it. Good thing we've reconnected the CRM. So we're going to build a journey and have our test records go into that journey. And I'll try and shed more light on the version control. But one thing that we still need to talk about, and it also applies to your question, Robert, is the journey settings. So let's proceed to talk about the journey settings. And I'll come back to all these other buttons, but let's go into the journey settings since we're talking about version control. So why is this? Okay, I just need to refresh this page because this bit is just showing up even though I don't want it. So see all this? This is not supposed to continue showing up. All right, where is my last modified journey? Come on. All right, no, I'll continue with this one. No, let's go find the other one. Not sure why it's not coming. What was it? March 14th. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's talk about journey settings. So remember what we talked about in the slides. When you're building a journey, or before you even build your journey, you need to have your plan in place. Part of that plan, or some of the questions you have to answer in that plan, or a key question you have to answer in that plan is, should people be able to re-enter this journey? All right, that question depends on the purpose of your journey. So let's say we were building a birthday journey. This was a birthday journey, yes? Your birthday shows up once a year, all right? If you've come into this journey, you've already gone through this journey once this year. Do we want you to come into this journey again this year in 2023? You only have one birthday. It doesn't make sense for you to come into this journey twice. So the way you can have that set up is in your journey settings. So for such an example where it's a birthday journey, the event only happens once a year, your journey, your contact re-entry mode should be no re-entry. That's what you should select in that situation. Let's go in version 2. So in our journey settings, if the goal of our journey was for something that happens once a year, such as people's birthday, the setting we should go with is no re-entry. All right? So what you select here impacts what happens or how people go through the journey. So if you select no re-entry, people will be unable to re-enter that journey. If you select re-entry at any time, they'll be able to enter and exit the journey at any time. So let's say we were running a journey where we want to give people discounts, all right? Sign up for, I don't know, purchase this product on our website and we're going to give you 20% off your next purchase. But of course, the company that's running this sort of promotion, they want to motivate people to make a purchase, but they also do not want to lose too much money. They don't want to give out the promo to people multiple times. Won't make sense. So in that case, will they want re-entry at any time? No, they want you to go through that journey once. So they'll select no re-entry. But if it was something where, let's say we were running a raffle draw, say you can have as many entries as you want. You can enter as many times as possible. This will make sense to select as our entry settings, re-enter at any time, all right? Or something like this. This will be the re-entry only after exiting. An example of something like this will be, let's see, what's the best example for this? This is typically in a journey where, let's say someone is renewing, let's say this was a mortgage renewal journey. So the journey is a 5-year journey. All right, let's say that's what we had. You're waiting for, I don't know how many months make up 5 years, but let's say it was 500 months. No, that's probably like 60 something months. Let's say 60, 65. Yes? People come in, they get this email, they wait 10 minutes, they get the second email, and then they're waiting for 64 months. All right? The mortgage is only going to come due once every, let's say they go with a fixed mortgage, they select 5 years. The mortgage is only going to come due once every 5 years. You want to select something like this, re-entry only after exiting, because it would not make sense for someone to come into the journey, exit and enter the journey before their mortgage comes due again, right? You just be spamming them unnecessarily. So what determines what you select here, which one of these 3 options you select, is dependent on the purpose of your journey, the why. And the why is something you should capture in step 1 when you're planning out what your journey is supposed to accomplish, where the data is coming from, what the experience should be for everyone who goes through that journey. That's where you answer the question of, should they be able to go through that journey after exiting, or re-enter at any time, or do not re-enter? That's what determines what you select in your journey settings, right? That's a key one, this right here, the contact entry. If you don't make a selection here, you cannot activate the journey, okay? The other thing to keep in mind in this settings section, your journey settings section, is you need to select the default email address. So if you've selected a data extension that does not contain an email address, when you get to this point in the journey settings, there'll be nothing for you to select. So let me demonstrate this to you. So let's find one of my data extensions without an email address. Let's see. This, do we have email? Okay, there is no, yeah, this is a good one to use. There's no email address, right? So let's say I selected this data extension as my journey entry source. Let's get rid of that. So it's 2023, March 10th, IP address. So let's say this is the data extension I selected, right? And I want to complete my journey settings. I say, sure, re-entry only after exiting. I want to select email address. See here, there'll be nothing to select because the system is looking at this data extension and it's seeing that there is no email address field. So it's giving me that information right here. It's telling me, without saying much, it's telling me, hey, look, dude, you want me to send emails to people, but you've not added an email address field in your data extension. How am I supposed to do that? So you always need to make sure you've got an email address in your data extension. The alternative, if you don't, is this field right here. And this is only available if you've got Marketing Cloud integrated with your CRM. So if you don't have email address in your data extension, but the data you plan on using are records from your CRM, you can select the email address field from the contact object using the second radio button. So in that case, we'll go here and see it lets me select the email address from the contact object, which is available to us because we've built the bridge between our Marketing Cloud account and our CRM. All right. So for this one, this only relevant if you're going to be sending text messages to records in your journey. All right. If you have Mobile Studio configured, then sure, you can select your phone number from your either the data extension or from the contact records in your CRM. But the key ones are these first two, because most Marketing Cloud accounts may not have Mobile Studio configured, but at the minimum, you have to select your journey reentry settings. You have to select your email address, or else when you try to activate, you'll get an error message. For example, let's say I selected this instead, yeah? And I went to activate. It's going to give me a list of errors that I need to fix before I can activate. Some of those errors include my entry mode. I don't have an email address selected. I don't have a goal set up. It just gives you a bunch of errors you need to fix before you can activate your journey. All right. So let's just breeze through the next set of slides just to make sure. Okay, I still have stuff to show you, but let's see, what is critical to point out? Okay, let's go back. Let's walk through these elements here. So, undo, redo buttons. You know what those are. This is where you see what version of your journey is running and what version is still in draft, or what version has been stopped. All right. In a journey, you can have multiple versions. You could get as high as like version 20 because you keep creating new versions. It will show you all those versions here. Then this here, what's this? The toggle sidebar. So you can hide these element here on the left by toggling the sidebar. If you want to have a bigger canvas to work with, you can hide all that stuff. And then this element here, this one was launched within the last year or two. This element, the copy activity element, it allows you to copy any of these activities or elements on a path. So where is this useful to use? Let's say, see how I have this path with 2 emails and 2 waiting periods. If I wanted to create another path with these similar elements, I can either manually recreate them. So I can just put so I can have to go select. So I want an email, I can go select email message, put it here, configure this as 10 minutes. I can do it manually, right? Because I want to replicate everything in this path, I want to replicate it here. So I can do that, I can grab another email, copy it, and then change this to 64 months. That's one way to do it, yes? But using the copy activity feature, instead of me manually pulling all these things and configuring them, I can just go this way. So let me get rid of these guys. Let's show you how the copy activity feature works. So if I wanted to copy these elements, I click on this, select that, select this, select this, select this, copy my selection, and then, where is it? Where will it go? Look at this down here. Okay, so it's here on the left. It goes to the top left. So now I should be able to grab that. Yeah, so I can grab it from the top left corner where it's being copied to the clipboard and just drop it here. See that? So let's get rid of that. See, I copied all these elements here at the top. It saved them on the clipboard and I can just drop them here. So I don't have to manually configure the email, the 10 minutes, the second email, the 64-month waiting period. That's what this allows me to do. It's essentially your copy and paste feature, right? It's useful when you're building a large journey with lots of elements. It helps save time. Okay, moving on. So that's what that does. The goal element. So this here allows you to set a goal for your journey. So this is something it's an optional feature. You don't always have to use it, but it's something you can keep in mind during the planning stages of your journey. So in step 1, when you're planning and you're asking yourself, where's the data coming from? What do we want to achieve with this journey? Why does this journey exist? How are we going to measure success for this journey? So if, let's say, this was a journey being built at Apple. Apple had a Marketing Cloud account and they were building a journey to send emails out to 1 million people to promote the iPhone 15. Yeah? They can set a goal. They can set a goal during the planning stages to say, I want at least 50% of these 1 million people to open or to open the emails in this journey. They can set that as a goal, all right? This is an example of a goal. So the key thing to keep in mind is when people reach this goal, you can have them exit the journey. So if your goal is, I want 50% of the people in this journey to open email number 1. Once 50% of all the records who come into the journey open email number 1, they will exit the journey and your goal will be captured as met. All right, you can set whatever goal you want. All right, so it's optional. It's not a required feature. And you can also capture that data or use one of the fields in your data extension to check progress against that goal that you've set. All right, that's one use case for the goal feature. So it's a nice to have, it's not a must do when you're building a journey. But if you do set a goal, once you activate your journey, see, for example, this one that's running, this double dashes here, that's where your goal statistic will get captured. So under the performance section, below the number of entries, this is where your goal will get captured. And it will continue to update. So it might start with 5% of goal met. And then over a couple of hours or days, it'll change to 10% of goal met. And it'll continue to increase as people meet whatever criteria you set as your goal. That's my journey. All right. So let's keep it moving. And then the next feature is your exit criteria. So you can use one of the fields either in your journey or in your data schema, which you can connect to your journey data extension. You can use that to define who exits a journey. So here's an example. If we stick with that Apple sending a million people into this journey to get them to purchase the iPhone 15. If we stick with that as the goal. So let's say those million people do come into the journey. We can check after the, first 10 minutes. If we have all our data connected, all right? So we've got our e-commerce data connected to our Marketing Cloud platform or to the CRM. And we can access that data inside of Marketing Cloud. We can say after the first, let's say first 2 days. Let's use something more reasonable. 1 million people come into this journey. They get this email saying, hey, go purchase iPhone 15. We wait for 2 days. After that 2-day waiting period, we can put an activity here between this 2-day waiting period and this next email. We can put an activity here to check to see, have people purchased this phone? If they have, they should exit this journey. So let's get rid of all this. Let's say that was something we actually did. So let's say this was the journey structure. People come in, this was our journey structure. 1 million people come in, they get this email, go purchase iPhone 15. We wait 2 days. After that 2-day waiting period, we use this activity here to check our sales data or purchase data from our e-commerce platform. We can check to see, have these people purchased the phone? If there's a field in our e-commerce platform where we can indicate, yes, they've purchased or no, they haven't, we can bring that field here to check. And if people have purchased that phone, using that as our exit criteria, whoever has purchased that phone or that product, we can send them down this path where they exit the journey and they no longer get any emails. because they've taken the action that we want them to take. So there's no point sending them additional emails in this part. All right. That's what you can accomplish with the exit criteria. All right. So it's a feature, it exists, it can be used if you have the right data. So the next one, so we talked about the goal, the exit criteria, and then the next one is similar, but it's mobile studio related. It's the mobile events exit criteria. So if they take some action on the mobile, either the mobile app, then they can exit the journey. But that's what those components allow you to do. They are not required. You don't have to use them in your journeys. But what you tend to see is more matured clients. So clients who are more experienced and have been using Marketing Cloud for a bit. And they've continuously optimized their account. They've brought in all the right data. They're more sophisticated. That's where you see them using some of these things. For the clients who are still in the elementary phases of their Marketing Cloud usage, they don't really use these things. They're nice to use, but not everybody gets it. All right, and then you've got your journey settings, which we talked about earlier. But underneath the journey settings is this feature to copy a journey. All right, so you know how you can make a copy of an email or of an automation. Same thing here, you can make a copy of a journey. So let's say you wanted to reuse this whole journey. Instead of you having to recreate it from scratch, you could just make a copy of it. So let's say I wanted to make a copy of it. So we'll call this the October 5th journey. Yeah, so it's going to copy all the elements in this March 14th journey. And we're going to have our October 5th journey. See? It copies everything, including the date extension, including the emails, the wait periods. It copies everything. That's what that button allows you to do. All right. So now I can choose to delete the journey or the version. So I have no use for this. I'm going to delete it. So now let's go back to my March 14th journey. Right. So that's what you do there. And then, of course, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but when you're working inside of Journey Builder, as you're building your journey, make sure you're clicking on save. The system is not, I'll repeat that, it's not automatically saving your work. So you have to be clicking on save. The only place where the system is automatically saving your work is in Content Builder. When you're building emails, it saves your work for you. But in Automation Studio, in Journey Builder, there's no auto save. You always have to save by yourself. All right. So those are elements on the canvas. We've got 6 minutes. I'm just going to show you a few things before we wrap up. So let's talk about the history section. So the journey history section will populate for journeys that are running. So active running journeys, you'll be able to see some history over a specific time period. And then the final tab gives you access to out-of-the-box journey templates that you can use to create your own new journey. All right, so these come out of the box. You can use them to create your own journey. So let's say you wanted to create an abandoned cart journey. This is a template you can use. You don't have to build it from scratch. All right, so see how this abandoned cart journey looks. So this is a templated one. So you push the data from your e-commerce system into Marketing Cloud via an API event, you wait for 1 hour, and then you send people that reminder email saying, hey, you didn't complete your purchase. Do you want to go back to our website? And then you send them down with whichever path it is. But anyways, that's what an abandoned cart journey looks like. All right. Now, this just reminded me of something that I have not shown to you guys. So we covered all of these elements except these ones in blue. So these ones in blue, well, I can give you a quick overview of them now. They are Einstein related. Okay, you know how you've got Einstein in the CRM where it takes data from past behavior and uses it to predict future behavior? Same thing exists in Marketing Cloud. So specifically inside of Journey Builder, you've got these 3 Einstein features. This first one is the most useful one. If you put this Einstein send time optimization element in front of an email, what the system does is it will, well, depending on what you configure, but what it will do is it will save, no, it won't save, it will deploy this email message to the recipient at the time that's most likely for them to open it. All right, and it's doing that based on each of those recipients' past behavior inside of your account. So if Robert typically opens emails from Black Force at 2 p.m. and IJ typically opens emails from Black Force at 10 a.m., what the system will do when it gets to this point is it will hold IJ's email until 10 a.m. and then deploy it to her. And same thing, it will hold Robert's email until 12 noon and deploy it to him at 12 noon because it's seen his past behavior and it's using that to determine the best time to send an email to these folks. That's what Einstein send time optimization does inside of Journey Builder. All right. So I'll talk about the last 2 tomorrow, the scoring split, the frequency split. Same concept, except it's just solving for a different problem. All right. It's taking past behavior and using it to predict future behavior. Final word on Einstein. This element only work in an account that has at least 3 months worth of send data. It won't work in a new account, all right? So it needs some history to work based on. Okay, final question before we disperse. Robert.
So that the Einstein STO has to be put in front of every email for it to check every one of them, or you only have to put it in there once?
No, in front of.
So let's say you've had 3 emails in your journey. Do you have to put it in all 3 emails, or you just have to put it in there once?
You have to put it in front of all 3.
And could you just explain the 24? You selected 24 hours. Could you just explain that again?
That's what's selected by default. So
Okay.
it will, within a 24-hour window, it will find the most likely time for your recipients to open it. So it'll just check within that 24-hour window. If you select 7 days, you've given it more options. So it will say, okay, within the 7-day range, what's the best or the most likely time for IJ to open this? If it's on Sunday at 2 p.m., that's when the email will go out to IJ. But if it's on day 7 at midnight, that's when the email will go out to IJ. So you just give it a window of time to select the most likely time for each recipient.
Okay.
By default, it's 24 hours. All right. So folks, there's lots of info out there about Einstein and Marketing Cloud. You can do some digging on it and start to explore it. We'll leave it there for today. We're over time. Thank you for your questions, and we will connect tomorrow. There is a class tomorrow because there's none on Monday. Monday's a holiday. All right. Thank you.